Hi, this is a short explanation on how to generate bundles for testing. In this project we have the build bundle Groovy script that is for generating one single bundle with given profiles. The profiles are defined in input bundle profiles. Here this is just a text file with one profile per line, yeah, and the patient profile should be always there. It's mandatory. And what this script will do is take these profiles, and in the examples folder it will grab one example for each profile, and we'll put those examples in the final bundle, and it will also correct any patient ID references internally before generating the final bundle. Then the second script generates multiple bundles. So if you want to generate 10 bundles at once, that script will do that for you. The extra parameter I have added is the PID. The PID parameter should be one of the values provided with the Bloom filter IDs. So the Bloom filter files are here, and if you call the script, I will show you how to call that script in a second, with one of these files as parameters, what the script will do is it will open one of those files and take one of the IDs randomly. These files contain one ID per line, so it will grab one of these IDs randomly and will put that in the patient identifier. Yeah, and the type of that identifier will be the Bloom filter system. The build bundle multiple Groovy, it's called this way, Groovy. I will show you how to download, install that in a second. Then the name of the script, so this is just this script. Then the parameters are WP is the with profiles, so this is just the profiles file, and you can pick any of the profiles here, or you can create your own. It's just depending on which resources do you want to include in the final bundle. You just define those here, yeah, as the URI for the profile. Yeah. Then the second parameter is the number of bundles that you want to create. By default, if you don't set the n, this will be 10, and this will be any number, like 10, 15, 20, whatever you want. And then the PID is one of those Bloom filter files. So we can create another script that actually goes through each file here, and we can create multiple bundles, just having a loop reading all the files here and generating everything. That's easy to do now that we have this script in place. And if I call this, it will create in the output folder this number of bundles, considering the examples for this profile, for the profiles mentioned in this file. So if I call this, it takes a while because it needs to read a lot of files and needs to fix the IDs internally. So all the resources reference to the same patient, for instance. And here you have the 5 bundles generated, and if I open this, and here in the generated resource we have entries, blood pressure, body temperature, body height. Then we have the patient, and the patient identifier system will be Bloom filter, and the value should be taken from the given ID file, patient identifier file. So I will open that, and this identifier should be here. Yeah, so it's one of those lines there. And why do we have these profiles here is because the profile file that we use, if you check this, has the patient, blood pressure, body height, and body temperature. So the examples chosen for this resource were based on this file, and the patient identifier, as I said, is fixed, and also all the references to the internal patient ID are fixed in the file. So each resource in the bundle references the same patients here. What we don't have is a correspondence between the internal identifier and the domain identifier. So if you need that, we will need just to change the logic here. Yeah, because each bundle, even though the same identifier is chosen from the Bloom filter file, this UUID will be generated each time with a different UUID. So if you need to maintain a correspondence between this and this, we might need to change the logic. So it would be nice to know if that has any implications on the testing. Yeah, and there is a README here that allows you to see what are the steps to run these scripts. Also a little bit about Groovy. Groovy is a dynamic language for the Java virtual machine, and you can see here I have this version of Groovy, and I'm running the JDK 8 that allows me to test. This is not the last version of Groovy, and of course this is not the last version of the JDK, but this works here. And what I use for managing the JDKs and the Groovy versions is SDK man. So SDK is a tool I have installed. It is also mentioned in the README, SDK man there. And here I can, for instance, I say SDK list Groovy, and I can see all the versions for the Groovy language, and I can see what's the version that I have installed and selected right now. This is the version that I'm using for running this script. I can also see all the JDK versions that I have installed and that I'm using. On this machine, I just have this one. Yeah, that is the Open JDK 8. But it is nice to have the SDK man installed, because you can just install different versions of the JDK or different versions of Groovy, and you can just use the version that allows you to run this script. Yeah, and so you can generate the bundles yourself, or you can ask me for generating many bundles, or the configuration that you need. Could be, as I said, this identifier matching this identifier. If you need a certain number of bundles with this identifier or each identifier, it also could be done. Right now it is just picking those identifiers, the Bloom filters, randomly. So you can have, for instance, if you generate 10 bundles, you may have 5 bundles for the same patient, and 2 bundles for other patient, and 3 bundles for other patient, and maybe there are some IDs that are not used. That could happen because it is just picking the IDs randomly. But if you need, like, I need 5 bundles for each patient, for each Bloom filter, I can just do a script that does exactly that. Right now, it is easy to change that logic. This is the file that generates the multiple bundles and just calls the other file that generates one bundle, just changing the parameters. Yeah, and the other one that generates the full bundle is just reading the input file with the profiles. This file tries to find examples in the folder file for each profile, and also if there is more than one example for each profile here, it will pick one randomly. So it will add just one example for each profile here, and will fix the IDs, the internal IDs, so all these reference to the same patient ID, and then it considers the Bloom filter to here. It adds the Bloom filter identifier to the patient, and this is picked randomly from the Bloom filter file, and this part of the script is what reads the Bloom filter file, the given Bloom filter file, and this is just picking one of the IDs randomly and just assigning that to that variable that is used here. Yeah. So if you have any questions, anything that you want to change on how this works currently, we can do those changes for generating exactly what you need for testing. And yeah, if you need to run these and you have any issues on your machine, just let me know.